Hello, I'm Mr. Saul.
I'm Shane Kirkham.
We are actually running a basketball fundraiser February 3rd this Saturday at 7:30.
This basketball benefit is for Anthony Tollari. He's a classmate of mine, and during the summer he suffered a major injury which left him in a wheelchair and partially paralyzed.
So we ask you to please come out to this great event. The cost is $5 for adults, $3 for students. There will be a 50-50 and a Chinese auction. Even though we're enemies on the court, off the court, we're doing this for a worthy cause.
What if I told you he wasn't the greatest? That a country would fail to protect its greatest natural resource? That sometimes it is a matter of life and death? That no one can outrun the truth?
Sad and embarrassed that he lost to someone in their late 30s is number one.
What if I told you he's the only true Cubs fan? That you can heal all wounds with a fight song?
I've seen Shane play football. I've never seen him play basketball.
That the man no one could stop tragically was. What if I told you running a marathon is easy? ESPN's critically acclaimed 30 for 30.
Shaner, what made you want to compete with Saul?
Really, I've been thinking about it a long time, and I saw 3 years ago when he raced David Peffer and lost, and I really think he just sometimes acts like he's unbeatable when he teaches and the way he kind of talks down to students sometimes, and I think, wow, I think I'm going to put a stop to this. I'm going to make him shave his head bald.
Does that make you angry when he treats people like that?
It does. I really enjoy the fact that, like, I understand he's a teacher and a authoritative figure, but sometimes I think enough is enough, you know what I mean? And I think February 3rd is the night where I'm going to put it all to an end.
So it's like he thinks he's better than everyone.
I honestly think he truly thinks that. I don't think it's his fault. I think it's just in his brain that he thinks that.
Okay. Do you think he's over the hill?
Meaning?
Like is he too old? Do you think maybe he's out of his prime?
I think he's way past his prime. You know, he's what now, a JV baseball coach. I think he swam in high school. He was a junior varsity swimmer. He played baseball at UPJ. UPJ, University of Pitt Johnstown. I mean, UPJ, that's Division III baseball. I don't know.
Now, do you think, however, if he was in his prime, what do you think would happen then?
I still think we're gonna have the same result as what I would do now than what I would when he was in his prime.
So, what exactly do you think the outcome of the basketball game will be?
I think the outcome is going to be a good, hard-fought game. There's going to be a lot of tension coming into it. The crowd's going to be going crazy. He's never really been in that kind of atmosphere before, but me, I'm used to it. So I think I'm going to be able to handle the crowd well and be able to win the game.
So you're expecting a big turnout?
Oh, I expect a huge turnout. I mean, more fans for me than him, obviously.
The game is a fundraising event, so how has that been coming along as of right now? I
think the fundraiser is going fantastic. Me, a couple other buddies, we're calling a bunch of different businesses, getting sponsorships, getting food baskets, getting silent auction, all these other things for the event. And I think it's, like I said before, I think it's going to be a great turnout.
Great. Back to the game. What do you think your biggest advantage is over Mr. Saul?
I think my basketball IQ is way higher than his, and just my knowledge of the game, and I'm going to study the way he plays defense on me, and then one drive I'm going to do this, but the next time I'm going to do something different, and I don't think he's going to be able to prepare for it.
Okay, and you said earlier that he did beat Dylan Spiker whenever Spiker was a freshman, and again when he was a senior. How does that make you feel about the game?
I understand Dylan Spiker, great athlete, one of the best basketball players to ever come out of the school. That's very understandable. Holds the assist record here. Listen, that's all very respectable attributes. But I'm not 150 pounds. You know what I mean? I'm 230 pounds solid. I mean, like Mr. Saul, all he did was grab the ball, dribble until he was underneath the hoop against Dylan, and shoot a layup. I mean, he's not going to be able to do that against me.
All right, one last question. How sad will Saul be without any hair?
I think he'll be extremely sad. I actually won't be surprised if he doesn't come to school for the next, I don't know, month, 2 months. I mean, listen, he's already a sad guy. I feel bad. I watch him teach. I'm like, oh man, this poor guy. I know, you've noticed.
Shane, if I do remember correctly, you did indeed try to convince Mr. Saul to legally change his name to Mr. Sad.
Yeah, that is a thing that we
Is he really that sad?
He's really that sad.
Is it lonesomeness?
I think it might be a little lonesomeness. 30-something years old. We're not gonna go into that.
Yeah, we don't have to touch
and we don't have to touch that. But all I know is that I look at him. Other students look at him. And they say, "Wow, is he sad?" I said, "Yeah." I tried to tell him to change his name to Mr. Sad, and they enjoyed it. So that's a good idea. Like, I feel bad. I don't want him to feel that sad without his name being Mr. Sad.
And do you really think his hair will even grow back if he shaves it off?
I would be willing to put my whole bank account on the fact that his hair will not grow back.
Shane, I actually recently read an article about the topic of men in their mid to upper 30s, starting to lose their hair, receding hairlines, bald spots, patchiness. And it said that if they actually shave their head bald, the hair will actually become tricked and reverse, growing into their skull, never to be seen again.
Yeah, I read the same thing, and actually I think the end result would be complete and total implosion of this skull.
So, Mr. Saul, what made you want to compete with Shanner?
Well, we actually had a bet originally with Hunter Nolf in a swimming bet, but his girlfriend wouldn't allow him to shave his head. So Shane started talking a little trash, and the bet ensued.
The birds were chirping.
Yeah.
Okay, now one topic that came up in the last interview and all over the school is the age. Do you think you're over the hill?
I'm definitely not improving in my old age.
Okay.
But at the same time, I feel like I'm young enough to beat Kirkham. Age is just a state of mind. But if I break my leg playing this game, I'm going to be pretty sad.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Saul to legally change his name to Mr. Sad.
Yeah, that is a thing that we
Is he really that sad?
He's really that sad.
Is it lonesomeness?
That is true.
Everyone will be hoping for a safe outcome. Now, another question we would have is, what do you think the outcome of the game will be?
I really think Shane will be embarrassed. He's never really played basketball other than 9th grade, and I heard he was terrible when he played in 9th grade.
Shane played a year of basketball for me when I was coaching. And I summed Shane up in 2 words after coaching him for a full year. 2 words are, he stinks.
Stinks. You also coached me.
I don't have much better things to say about you, but let's just continue with the interview.
He's like 5'6". He weighs like 290. So he's not real athletic, and I just don't, I don't know how he's gonna stay in front of me, even in my old age.
Shots fired. I'm loving it. I'm loving it right now. I love the confidence. Another thing that we need to ask is, what are some of the advantages that you have over Shanner in this basketball game we're going to be playing here? One
is I've actually played basketball at a high level. I warmed up in a state championship game. Didn't get to play, but they let me warm up. I was a 2-year letterman. I feel like lifting wise, I'm about as physically strong as him, and I just feel like I'm overall a better athlete than he.
One thing that came up was you were a collegiate athlete.
That is true.
Do you think that'll have anything to do with the outcome of the game?
I think me playing baseball in college has about as much outcome, or about as much
Where did you play?
Pitt Johnstown.
Pitt
I believe
Johnstown,
your girlfriend articulated.
She actually transferred.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Used to.
Yeah, but I would feel that me playing baseball has about as much to do with the basketball game as Shane Kirkham throwing chest passes into like in gym class, just throwing bounce passes against a wall in a one-on-one game, which I still don't understand.
Now, one thing is, let's say you do win. How sad do you think Shayner will be once he has to shave his head?
Well, I think he's going to be sad and embarrassed that he lost to someone in their late 30s is number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, we're going to find out if Janie really loves him for his looks or his heart, which could be another thing. So if she breaks up with him after this embarrassing loss, that could be another thing. And I'm just worried about his self-confidence. We all know he's a motivated student. Could this send him into a spiral down in depression and make him not work as hard as he does currently in school?
One thing though, he's already more than halfway there with the haircut he has now. He's got the mohawk, it's very thin. I cut it at least once a week.
That is true, but it's a much different world when you don't have hair. You can ask Mr. Pod, Mr. Rourke, Mr. Wolf. When you have no hair, and I was even willing to go as far as including shave your eyebrows in the bed, but Mr. Kirkham in his overall confidence just declined to do that.
Yeah, I know. So not everyone can pull off a bald head.
Yeah, and I don't think I can either.
Another question, what are you doing training-wise for this game? Are you running, are you lifting, are you shooting hoops? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just out there getting better. Well, Kirkham, it's time for my diet after a workout. It's time for a little raw eggs. I'm going out there and I am lifting with Mr. Rosenberger. I'm trying to do a little more cardio. I was watching some of the great athletes, what they did, and I was watching a Muhammad Ali video, and he abstained from women before fights, and I've decided to abstain from women. I have 37 years of practice, luckily, but I've decided to abstain from women until the event to try to, so I'm at my maximum potential.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's a lot of dedication. Yeah. Another question, now, when I was not in high school when you raced David Peffer in the swim race.
That is true.
How did losing the swim race motivate you for this?
Well, I don't want to come in, I want to make sure I don't come in overconfident. Whenever you throw up in front of the swim team in a Speedo, it kind of takes a little out of you. And as I was ash white and about to die, literally closest I've ever come to dying, is everyone laughed at me as I literally couldn't lift my head. I realized I didn't want to be in that position again, so that's why I'm trying to do a little more training to try to make sure that I go on in and maximum.
So would you take another swimming bet in the future, maybe?
I did, and I tried to take another swimming bet with Nolf, but his girlfriend again would not allow it.
So, why actually are you scared for Shane? I hear you're scared. You're not scared of him, but you're scared for him.
Well, I'm just scared that this could send him in a downward spiral. The grades. One thing that could happen. He loses. Janie breaks up with him. His grades start going down. His lifestyle. So he's gonna start probably, yelling at his parents. So I just don't want him living in a cave and kicked out, living homeless because I beat him.
So, Mr. Pod, from what I understand, you've known Mr. Saul for quite some time, and what do you think about the game between him and Shayner?
First of all, thank you, Woodrow, for having me on. I got to say, in this matchup, Saul, I didn't think he was a tremendously talented basketball player, but he beat Dylan Spiker. And this is my 13th year here at Riverside. Dylan is probably the most talented basketball player that we've had since I've been here. That tells me a lot about Saul's pride, the way he approaches the game. I've seen Shane play football. I've never seen him play basketball. I love Shane's toughness. That jumps out at me. Like, he was a little undersized, but he was just so tough. And guys like that are tough, they generally tend to be successful. So this should be a great matchup. Saul beat Dylan Spiker, so I don't see why he couldn't be Shane.
And like we said, you've known Saul for a while, but just how well do you know him? What do you know about his work ethic and his athletic ability?
Saul, he's got a tremendous work ethic. He's working out with Mr. Rosenberger, so that should count for something. I mean, he's really hitting the weights hard. He's trying to improve his build, his physique. He swims in the morning. He's done tough mutters. Saul, his cardio is good, and that's only going to help him in a matchup with Shane, who I know isn't Shane.
I agree. Another thing, what do you think he has what it takes to play the whole game and beat Shane and come out on top?
I do. I think in the end, Saul, he's just one of those guys. He's going to win. And he's going to compete. He's always looking for an edge. Again, Shane toughness and try hard. And that only goes so far. Again, Saul, I've seen him beat guys like Dylan. I've seen him beat and compete with guys like Zach Gold from a few years back. Saul, these are guys that have performed on the big stage. And Shane, maybe if we were lining up and trying to defend an ISO, I'd take Shane. But playing basketball, I'm not so sure that he can beat Saul here.
So get into detail. What do you think the outcome of the game will be? Score,
What are they playing to?
I think they're playing to 15 straight. Call your own foul.
Call your own foul. I think Saul wins this game maybe 15-8. What do you beat Dylan? 15-11. I got Saul 15-8.
Okay. And from what I understand, will you be playing in this faculty versus students game?
I will be playing in the faculty versus students game. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while since I've played a competitive basketball game. I'm looking forward to seeing what the students can do.
Now, have you been shooting after practice? I know you are a basketball coach yourself. Do you do any shooting around after practice whenever the lights are dim?
I do not. My playing career ended in 2000 in high school, and my college career ended. I got really nothing to prove at this point. So I'm going to come out, and I'm sure that, skill-wise, it'll take a while for me to get in the game, and we're in the middle of the season, so my cardio is not where it needs to be. But, we'll get after it because I got some good teammates. And, Mr. Huth is certainly a tremendous player. Mr. Bonner always going to compete. You know that.
And then it is for a great cause. You know what I mean? It's a fundraiser. It's going to be competitive, but it is for a great cause. What do you have anything to say about that?
No, you know what? We wish Anthony the best. I mean, whatever we can do to help him out, certainly. That's why we're doing this, and we want to have a good, fun night of competitive basketball, raise a lot of money for him and his family, and eventually, at the end of the day, you still want to put the students in their place and get that W.
It is, and no matter how heated it gets, you got to remember the cause and what the game's about. One more question is, I did hear that there was another bet between you and Max.
This is true.
That whoever wins. Get into detail about the bet that you.
Yeah, I am a diehard Penn State football fan. I've been that way since my whole life. And Max, I took exception last year to a shirt that he was wearing around school that I felt was in poor taste. So I know that he also is not a Penn State fan. So I feel that I have a lot of confidence in my good friend Mr. Saul that he's going to defeat Shaner. And he's going to do so decisively. And I gave even odds, so we're not spotting points there. When Mr. Saul defeats Shaner, Max will pose with a picture with me, and he'll be wearing a T-shirt that says "We are Penn State" on it.
Because he is not a Penn State.
Because he is not a Penn State fan. And if for some reason the Shaner would defeat Mr. Saul, I would have to really swallow my pride, integrity, and everything that I hold dear, and wear the T-shirt in question that I can't even say it that Max despicably wore last year.
Sounds like you got a lot of fun.
We certainly do.
All right, thanks a lot for having me on.
Thanks, Woodrow. You're the host.
I am the host.
You had me on.
Thanks for coming out. Brian, what do you know about Shane's skills and accomplishments as far as basketball?
Well, I was lucky enough to not just live with Shane. Shane played a year of basketball for me when I was coaching. And I summed Shane up in 2 words after coaching him for a full year. 2 words are, he stinks.
Stinks. You also coached me.
I don't have much better things to say about you, but let's just continue with the interview.
Now, what do you know about the Saul versus Shane matchup, the bet?
Well, it sounds like Shane might have bit off more than he can chew here.
You think so?
The one thing Shane's not taking into consideration is experience. Ron Saul has wonderful experience as a coach and a player, and even though he's not as young as Shane, experience will win out. And not to mention I have a side bet with my stepson Seth, so I'm rooting for Saul to win this game.
Is the household divided?
Very much so.
The household
Shane
divided.
insists that he can win, and I keep coming back to the exhibition last year when Ron Saul beat Dylan Spiker, who was clearly a better basketball player than Shane.
And like I was going to ask later on, you coached Dylan Spiker. What does that even say about Saul's basketball skills then?
Dylan Spiker is one of the best basketball players I've ever coached at Riverside in my 12 years or so of coaching here. So if Ron Saul beat Dylan Spiker, I'm going to say Shane would be like recess.
Recess. Playtime. Well, what does Brandy think? Brandy, your wife, Shane's mother, what does she think about the whole thing?
Oh, she thinks Shane's a slam dunk winner.
As most women do.
The house is divided.
The house is divided.
It's
sleeping on the couch.
Hey, whatever it takes. It's ugly there right now. I can't wait till this thing's over and Saul wins and I get my $5 from Seth and Shane loses again in basketball.
Here's the $1 million question. Literally $1 million. 6 zeros.
I like this.
What about Jane? What about Jan? What's Jan gonna think?
I'm not sure what Jane thinks, but I'm sure she'll be glad to tell us all about it. Is that gonna be edited out?
We'll edit that out. That'll be a blooper. I'm gonna have to ask that question again.